The night before our wedding, my fiancé's bridesmaid accidentally added me to their group chat where she wrote, "Don't worry, I'll still sneak away with my ex before the honeymoon." I just read in silence. The next morning, she found out why no groom showed up. It was 11 p.m. the night before my wedding. I should have been trying to get some sleep, maybe having a quiet drink with my brother. Instead, I was sitting on the edge of a bed in a fancy hotel suite, staring at my phone and watching my entire future burn to the ground in real time. The weirdest part, I didn't feel a thing. Let's start from the top. I'm Ben, 35. I own a catering company. I spend my life making other people's big days perfect. It's a stressful job, but I'm good at it. For the last 3 years, the big day I was planning was my own. My fiancée Olivia was the classic girl next door type. Sweet, beautiful, the kind of girl you bring home to meet your mom. At least that's who I thought she was. For the last year, though, there's been this weird undercurrent. His name is Alex, her ex, the one that got away, or so the story went. She swore up and down they were ancient history, that he was a phase she was long over. But his name just kept popping up. I'm not a jealous guy, but I'm not stupid either. The way her eyes would light up when she talked about him, the way she'd get defensive if I asked about him, it was a red flag. About 6 months ago, I laid it out for her. I told her I couldn't spend my life with a woman who was still hung up on her ex. I told her it was disrespectful and that if she wasn't 100% in this with me, we needed to end it. She cried. She swore I was the only one she wanted. She promised she would never speak to him again. I believed her. I chose to believe her. So, back to the hotel. We had booked the whole floor for the wedding party. I was in my suite. She was down the hall with her bridesmaids. My phone buzzed. It was a notification that I had been added to a group chat. The chat was called Livy's Bride Tribe. I figured it was a mistake. One of her friends must have hit the wrong button. I was about to just leave the group when the messages started popping up and I could see the entire chat history. My blood went cold. It was a transcript of my own execution. Her friends were asking her if she was nervous, if she was ready for this. Her maid of honor, a girl named Chloe, wrote, "Are you sure you're ready to be tied down to Mr. Safe and Stable for the rest of your life? Last chance to run for the hills." And then came the reply from Olivia. "My sweet loving fiancé, please. The wedding is a formality. The party is going to be epic and he's paying for all of it. LOL. Don't worry. I'll still sneak away with Alex for a real celebration before the honeymoon." I just stared at that message. "He's paying for all of it. LOL. A real celebration." Another bridesmaid chimed in. "Just for one night." Olivia's reply came a second later. "One night for now. He's so clueless. I can do it whenever I want. Ben will never know. He's too in love with me to ever question anything." I just sat there reading it over and over. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. It was like a switch flipped in my head. All the little doubts, all the red flags, they all snapped into focus. This wasn't a last-minute case of cold feet. This was a calculated long-term plan. I wasn't her partner. I was her bank, her provider, the boring, stable idiot who was funding her life while she planned secret nights with her ex. I didn't leave the group chat. I didn't type a single word. I just put my phone on silent, took a screenshot of the entire conversation, and started making a new plan. My wedding was still happening tomorrow. She was going to get the show of a lifetime, but she wasn't going to be the star. She was going to be the punchline. Update 1. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of calm. I knew exactly what I had to do. My brother, who was my best man, came into my suite around 8 a.m. He could tell something was off. "You okay, man?" he asked. "You look weirdly calm." "I'm better than okay," I said, and I showed him the screenshots. He read them, his face getting darker with every word. When he was done, he just looked at me. "We're calling this off, right?" "Nope," I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. "We're going through with it, but we're making a few changes to the program. I need your help." My plan was simple and it was brutal. Olivia wanted a movie. I was going to give her a thriller with a twist ending she'd never see coming. First, I needed to get the ex-Alex to the wedding. I used a burner phone app to send him a text spoofing Olivia's number. It read, "I can't do it, Alex. I'm making a huge mistake. I'm at the chapel. Please just come. I'll leave with you." I love you. It was cheesy, but it was exactly the kind of thing he'd fall for. Next, I called the AV company I had hired for the reception. I have connections in the event industry, and I knew the owner. I told him I had a last-minute surprise for the bride, a special slideshow. I told him I'd be sending over the file and that he was to play it on the big projector screen behind the altar during the groom's speech. No questions asked. He was a friend. He just said, "You got it, Ben." Then I got ready. I put on my tux. I went down and took pictures with my groomsmen. I greeted the guests as they arrived. I was the perfect happy groom. Olivia was still in her suite, completely oblivious, probably texting her bridesmaids about the real celebration to come. The ceremony began. I stood at the altar, watching as she walked down the aisle. She looked beautiful, a perfect fraud. She took my hand, her eyes sparkling. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The offici went through his speech. Then it was time for the vows. He turned to me. "Do you, Ben, take Olivia to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I took a deep breath. I looked at Olivia, at her hopeful, smiling face. I looked out at our friends and family. Then I looked at the back of the chapel where a confused-looking guy in a leather jacket had just slipped in. Alex had arrived. I turned back to the officiant. "No," I said, my voice clear and steady. "I don't." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Olivia's smile vanished, replaced by a look of pure shock. "In fact," I continued, taking the officiant's microphone, "I think there are a few things everyone here should know." I pointed to the back of the chapel. "Alex, glad you could make it. Olivia will be thrilled to see you." All heads turned. Alex looked like he wanted to die. "You see, folks," I said, my voice booming through the speakers, "I was accidentally added to the bridal party's group chat last night, and it was very, very educational. I learned that my fiancée, the woman standing before you, was planning on having a real celebration with her ex-boyfriend Alex before our honeymoon. I also learned that I am so clueless that she could do it whenever she wanted, and I would never know." I looked at her bridesmaids who were all staring at the floor. "But, I'm a visual learner, so I thought it would be best to just show you all what I'm talking about." I nodded to the AV booth. The massive screen behind us, which had been displaying a tasteful floral arrangement, flickered to life, and there it was in giant, high-definition letters for everyone to see. The entire screenshot of their group chat, her profile picture, her words, "He's paying for all of it, LOL. I'll still sneak away with Alex." The silence in the chapel was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop. Then came the gasps. I saw Olivia's father, a big, intimidating man, rise to his feet, his face purple with rage. I looked at Olivia. Her face was a mess of tears and horror. Her perfect movie had just turned into a nightmare. "So the wedding is off," I announced. "But the $150,000 party is very much on. Please, everyone, enjoy the food, the open bar, and the band. I'd like to dedicate the first song to my ex-fiancée. It's called Liar." I dropped the mic, turned around, and walked down the aisle past the stunned faces of our guests. My brother and my groomsmen fell in behind me. As I walked out of that chapel, I heard the first notes of the song start to play. The sound of my freedom. Update 2. The scene I left behind in that chapel was, by all accounts, a complete meltdown. Alex, the ex, apparently bolted the second everyone's attention was on the screen. Smart move. Olivia's father started screaming, not at me, but at her. The bridesmaids were crying. It was chaos. I didn't see any of it. I went straight to the reception hall, which was in another part of the estate. My catering staff, who I had given a heads up to that morning, were ready. They opened the bar, started passing appetizers, and the band, a group of guys I've worked with for years, launched into a set of upbeat party music. My friends and family started trickling in a few minutes later, looking shell-shocked, but also impressed. My dad gave me a hug that almost broke my ribs. "That's my boy," was all he said. About 30 minutes into my freedom party, the doors to the reception hall burst open. It was Olivia, her father, and her mother. She had taken off her veil and her makeup was a disaster. Her father looked like he wanted to murder someone. "You," he bellowed, pointing at me. "You have humiliated my daughter. You have humiliated my family. I will sue you for everything you have." I just took a sip of my whiskey. "No, you won't," I said calmly. "Because if you do, The first thing my lawyer will do is enter into evidence a sworn testimony from every single one of those bridesmaids about the conversation they had last night. Not to mention the screenshots which I have already sent to him. Your daughter wasn't humiliated. She was exposed. There's a difference. Her mother started in on me then. How could you be so cruel, Ben, after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done. For you, everything you've done for me. I laughed. I paid for this. I paid for every flower, every chair, every drop of champagne you're about to drink. This entire event was funded by the clueless guy your daughter was planning to cheat on. So, please enjoy the party. Olivia finally found her voice. It was a mistake, Ben, she cried. I was just scared. I didn't mean it. You meant every word, I said, my voice turning to ice. And the lull at the end of he's paying for all of it really sealed the deal. You didn't make a mistake. You made a plan, and your plan failed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have about 300 guests who are here to celebrate my narrow escape. Security will see you out. I had hired extra security for the event. Another part of my contingency plan. 2 very large men politely but firmly escorted the 3 of them out of the reception hall. The party raged on. It was the best and most expensive breakup party in history. We ate the fancy food. We drank the top-shelf liquor, and we danced until 2 hours in the morning. The next day, the real cleanup began. I had my lawyer send a formal letter to Olivia and her family. It included a detailed invoice for her half of all the non-refundable costs associated with the wedding, which came to just over $75,000. It also informed her that I had canceled our 5-star 3-week honeymoon to Bali, and that she was responsible for half of the substantial cancellation fee. The letter ended by stating that if she refused to pay, I would pursue the matter in civil court where the evidence of her fraudulent intent to enter into the marriage would be made public. Her father paid the bill a week later. There was no note. Final update, it's been 6 months. The dust from the explosion has finally settled. The story of our wedding became the stuff of legend in our town. Everyone has a version of it, but the screenshots of that group chat which inevitably leaked meant the truth was never in doubt. Olivia's life, from what I hear, is a mess. Her reputation is in the toilet. Her family, deeply embarrassed, has apparently put her on a very short leash. She had to get a real job. The life of leisure that she thought she had secured with me is gone. Her friends, the bridesmaids who so eagerly participated in her deceit, also faced their own fallout. Chloe, the maid of honor, was actually dumped by her own fiancé after he heard what had happened. Apparently, he decided he didn't want to marry a woman whose idea of friendship was to encourage betrayal. I saw Olivia once. It was a few weeks ago at a coffee shop. She was alone, just staring into her cup. She looked small. The bright, confident life of the party persona was gone. She looked up and saw me. There was a flicker of panic in her eyes, and then she just looked away, her face burning with what I hope was shame. I just got my coffee and left. The ultimate revenge wasn't the public humiliation. It wasn't the money. It was simply showing her and everyone else the truth. She had built her life on a foundation of lies and manipulation, and all I did was knock out the main support beam. The rest of it just came crashing down on its own. I'm dating again. Someone real. Someone who laughs with me, not at me. Someone who understands that a relationship is a partnership, not a heist. Olivia wanted a movie. She wanted to be the romantic heroine. Torn between 2 loves, but she misread the script. She wasn't the heroine. She was the villain. And in my movie, the villain doesn't get a happy ending. She just gets what she deserves. If you made it this far, that means the story spoke to you. Please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. It really means a lot to me, more than you know. These stories take time to write, and your support helps me keep going. Thank you for listening all the way through. Until next time.